Loving greetings to all of you in the name of our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda. Welcome, welcome, welcome from all over the world, from India, North and South America, Australia, Europe, Africa, Asia, everywhere in between, maybe even Antarctica, if that autobiography of a yogi that was left down there has done its job. You remember from Convocation. Well, my dear ones, it is such a wonderful feeling to experience right when we click on the start button that opens this globally networked live stream satsang. Just in an instant, we are connected with so many thousands of you in all parts of the world. A truly global spiritual family coming together in our wall-less temple of divine communion, divine fellowship. So again, welcome to all of you. Let's begin by invoking the blessings of God and Guru into our midst and their blessings on the new year that we're embarking upon. Please repeat after me. Heavenly Father, Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, and our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we bow to you all. Beloved God, as we start this new year, renew and strengthen our conscious connection with your infinite, omnipresent consciousness and blessings. Make us living links with Christ, Krishna, and the Masters. Make us true yogi devotees, masters of the art of living in this material world, without losing our divine connection with you. Bless us with courage, clarity, faith, and the joy of beholding each day the clear, direct path before us that leads to realization of our infinite potential and fulfillment of our highest goals. Bring into our daily lives the joy, the beauty, the nobility of our souls, and awaken us to the infinite joy, infinite power, infinite unconditional love that awaits us in you. Om, peace, Amen. Well, my dears, many of you know that it was traditional for our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda and our past SRF YSS presidents to send out a letter of inspiration at the beginning of each new year. And these New Year letters, that was the means by which they greeted our worldwide spiritual family at the beginning of each new year. So I guess you could say that this satsanga is my version of that tradition. and a very blessed and happy New Year, each and every one. I'm so happy that we are making time for Satsanga at the beginning of this new year, 2025. It's so meaningful that at the very outset of this new phase of our journey, we're looking forward to the new adventures that await us in this year, that we can come together in divine fellowship, that we can come together and with our united will, devotion, concentration, attunement, and realization, we can infuse ourselves with the strength and inspiration we need to go forth into this new year, joyful, triumphant. Of course, Satsanga means experiencing the divine together, communing with God together. And I always love to remember that every reverent contact with our Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, every contact with Self-Realization Fellowship, Yogoda Satsanga Society of India, each one is a transmission of divine consciousness and blessings to the degree that we are receptive. So as we begin our program today, open your heart. Open your heart, open your mind to those divine blessings. Feel that vibratory blessing in the heart. Feel it in the brain. Feel it going up and down your spine, awakening your true self. A radiating ray of spirit, an immortal soul, filled with bliss, with power, with love. So from the Mother Center, this blessed nucleus of our worldwide Sangha, our worldwide fellowship of divine friendship, that friendship that unites our souls in a global family of mutual help, mutual respect, mutual love and encouragement. Feel that divine light, that vibration of infinite peace and joy streaming into your body, your mind, and souls. Infinite blessing, healing, forgiveness, awakening of higher consciousness. These are streaming into your bodies, minds, and souls. Receive that live stream of the blessings of God and Guru, saturating your muscles, your nerves, your cells, your bones, your blood, feelings and thoughts, your whole being. Feel right now that your soul is resurrected by God and Guru's grace and power, combined with your own willingness, your own focused divine determination and resolution. Resurrect your soul from the tired ways of the old year. Energize and awaken your soul in this bright morning of the new year into a fresh expression of the soul's native, infinite power, beauty, nobility, and unconquerable consciousness of victory. That's the way to start the new year. As Paramahansaji taught us, let's affirm this together. I am awake and ready. Repeat that. I am awake and ready. I am awake and ready. In this new year, by your grace and power, I will succeed. In this new year, by your grace and power, I will succeed. By your grace and power, I will succeed. Om, Om, Om. It makes me really happy to begin this new year by meditating you like we just did from Mount Washington. I was thinking this really fulfills one of the three purposes for which our Guru founded the Mother Center. Of course, it's a monastic ashram, home of our SRF order of monks and nuns, and also it's a much cherished pilgrimage spot for countless seekers from around the world. But in addition, and I feel probably most importantly, our Guru Paramahansaji envisioned the Mother Center as a beacon, a lighthouse, broadcasting center of spiritual light and inspiration. One that reaches out to spiritually thirsty souls all over the world, whether or not they are able to be physically present at Mount Washington. Reaching out, of course, through the published SRF YSS teachings, but also through the invisible and daily renewed vibrations of healing energy and prayer. He started that tradition. He sent those holy, healing, divine vibrations every day of the year. And it's our blessed privilege to continue that. And my prayer is that each of you can tune in, can feel that, and feel it uplifting you, feel it energizing you, feel it recharging you for the year ahead. That's the spiritual purpose of Mount Washington. So I want to talk a little more about our Mount Washington Center in a moment, but first, let me just take a moment and thank each and every one of you who sent such beautiful cards and thoughtful gifts over the Christmas holidays. So many deeply meaningful messages and expressions of what our Guru and his organization mean in your life. I have read them all, and I was deeply touched. So thank you, each one. You know, the new year it's such a powerfully auspicious time, and we're just coming out of the Christmas season, of course, which of course in itself is a period of heightened blessings and heightened vibrations of spiritual consciousness that emanate on earth from the higher realms. And then we add to that the psychological energies of renewal brought by the new year. Those energies that are so helpful in creating a new beginning, helping to jumpstart our resolutions for improving ourselves in body, mind, and spirit. And then along with those two, lastly, we have, in just a couple of days from now, the blessed observance of the birth anniversary of our revered Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, on January 5th. So the combination of all these three things together makes this one of the most special times of the year in our worldwide spiritual family. And if I may, I would like to express a wish for each of you in this new year. My wish is, no matter what comes in this new year, I want you all to be able to draw in real time from the dynamic source of spiritual strength, calmness, joy, practical how to live wisdom that emanates from the Gurus through your intuition and into your heart and mind and will. That's why I urge you so often over and over again, make yourself a living link with that dynamic spiritual source, that source that is the great gift of God for our awakening global civilization of the 21st century, our lineage of beloved and enlightened gurus. Now in 2025, we are not only starting a new year, but for those of us who live here at the Mother Center, we're actually starting a whole new century. And of course, 2025 is the 100th anniversary of the founding of this center. I thought it would be interesting for you to realize and to visualize it was actually December 30th, 1924. So just three days ago, December 30th, 100 years ago, that our guru arrived in Los Angeles and began that historic series of lectures and classes there a couple of weeks later. But when he came, this was, and this would have been literally 100 years ago to the day, let's just say January 3rd, January 4th, 1925. He was lodged in the beginning at the Biltmore Hotel, which of course we all know for many years we had SRF events there. And the Biltmore Hotel at that time was just adjacent to this huge Philharmonic auditorium in downtown Los Angeles. And Guruji, standing up in his room on one of the floors of the hotel in the Biltmore, he could look out his window and he could see these massive crowds lining up to get into the public lectures that he was going to give. Way more than the auditorium could accommodate, it turned out. They said the lines literally wound around the street corner, and the traffic and the just sheer numbers of people meant that they had to call in the police to come in and direct traffic. All because of what? All because of the spiritual magnetism and the interest generated by one young Swami from India. And we've heard from those who were present that standing there, gazing out his window in the Biltmore, seeing that whole spectacle before him, Paramahansaji remarked to the students who were with him, "Babaji told me it would be like this. Babaji told me it would be like this." Of course, referring to that tremendous occasion right before he left India when the great Mahavatar Babaji, the supreme guru in our lineage, came to him at the family home in Calcutta and blessed him and gave him personally the mission of bringing India's ancient science of yoga, Kriya Yoga, to the West. So looking out the window, and he just said, "Babaji told me it would be like this." So then soon, not long afterwards, after he had given a few classes and lectures, he began the search for the headquarters for his work. And he told the students, what he was envisioning, what he wanted. And he told this story in a very meaningful way. So this would have been, again, back in January 1925. And Guruji said this. He said, "In one of our big classes in Los Angeles, I told them, we'll have a big place on the mountain, like the vision I had in Kashmir when I saw the temple of Shankara on a high hill." Of course, he was referring to the story that he tells in Autobiography of a Yogi about seeing Mount Washington in vision many years earlier in India. So he was talking about that, and he said in the class there, somebody got up and said, "Well, Swamiji, in 20 years maybe, if you stay here, you can have a center like that." And I said, 20 years for those who think 20 years, 20 months for those that think 20 months, and 3 months for those that think 3 months. And Guruji concludes, it was received in 3 months. So that was the spirit. That was the undaunted consciousness of not letting anything stand in the way of this divine mission that he was given. So it was just 3 months later, on actually April 2nd, 1925, that he signed the mortgage, giving him ownership of the Mount Washington property. 100 years ago this spring. Have you all seen the new issue of our magazine? Let's get that up on the screen. I want you to take a look at that. Yeah, there it is. There's our Guru standing on the grounds of Mount Washington. And I wanted to show this because this particular issue, this has a wonderful presentation about the 100th anniversary of the Mount Washington, the Mother Center. And I think you'll really enjoy hearing all the personal stories and vignettes if you haven't seen that yet. So a lot to look forward to in this year, this 100th anniversary. And of course, as most of you know, in addition, we're planning a huge project at the Mother Center, the International Headquarters Retrofit and Rehabilitation Project. It's going to do some very necessary improvements and enhancements to this beloved ashram to preserve it and protect it for many, many decades and generations to come. So if you haven't heard about that project, I encourage you, please visit the presentation on our website, and you'll find in the description box right below the video window, there's a link there that talks about that. We should never underestimate the power of the spiritual revolution that Paramahansa Yogananda inaugurated from these Mount Washington headquarters back in 1925. You know, our Guru once said to one of his disciples, Mira Mata, he told her that the SRF work would begin just as a gentle zephyr and then become gradually a stronger breeze, and as time goes on, would increase in power and force until, he said, like a mighty wind, it will help to sweep away the impurities of this world, the darkness in the lives of God's children. And recently, in your cards and messages to me, many of you have commented on that, saying it feels like the breeze is starting to pick up this past year. Wouldn't you say? It's just beyond comprehension what Paramahansa Yogananda has brought to us all. You know, when he stepped off that ship from India in Boston in 1920, very few, if any, could have known what he was bringing, what a great treasure it was. One that would literally change the course of modern civilization. Literally change the course of civilization. In earlier talk, I tried to crystallize in 6 points a few of these revolutionary contributions that our Guru brought to help our planet evolve into a higher age. We put a link to them to that blog post. It's on our website, again in the description box down below there. But I mention these because these represent what our Guru brought represents exactly what the world needs to address at this moment in history. Not just the symptoms, but the root causes of the problems we face today. And if I can make a humble prediction, in this new year, I humbly predict that it will become ever more apparent that what Paramahansaji brought 100 years ago, what he brought is a vital necessity, a necessary survival skill in the brave new world dawning on our planet. And I humbly predict that in this year, many people around the world will continue to look. They'll look and they'll search in many places with increasing urgency, with an increasing, how shall I say, willingness to try something new, searching to find what, in fact, the Paramahansa Yogananda legacy freely and abundantly provides. And some of those souls, depending on, in part, how well we do our work, some of them will find the SRF YSS path and start the joyous journey that so many of you have walked for years, for decades. So who can tell how many will find this treasure? All we know is that it depends in large part on the resources that all of us together can collectively muster for this divine cause. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this sense of mutual support, mutual unity and unanimity of cause, of focus on this divine cause. Truly, there could not be a dearer or sweeter or more fulfilling expression of divine friendship than what we all share as brothers and sisters on this path. Never let the world make you pessimistic. Never let the world make you discouraged. Just remember, there's a lot more at work behind the scenes than we may be aware of. And we do need to be aware of the, how shall I say, the false narrative promulgated by persons steeped in worldly consciousness that use the various vehicles of the mass media, entertainment, advertising, and so on, so much of which bewilders and confuses millions of people, diverts them, distracts them from the true purpose of their life on earth. So, my dear friends, we have to counter that. We have to use the yoga psychology taught by Paramahansa Yogananda. Remember, the messages from the mass media, from anything in the world, they are received through our senses, our mind, and then we respond to them from our ego as likes or dislikes. I like this is nice, this is terrible, likes and dislikes. And those become, Guruji explained, those become lodged in our memory, in the brain circuitry that manages our habits. It becomes lodged and expresses in the desires and eventually the karmic seed tendencies that get lodged in our brain and spinal centers. And because of the modern media and technology, there's a continuous barrage of unwholesome messages, probably much more than in past generations. But here's the reason for our great hope and our great joy, because we know the great masters of India, through Paramahansa Yogananda, have given to us an even more powerful spiritual technology, Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga. So to all of you, many thousands of beloved Kriya Yogis out there, a reminder for the new year to keep ourselves free from that downward pull of the depressing worldly narrative and become attuned, keep ourselves attuned to the narrative of spirit, the narrative of truth. To do that, we need to perform twice daily that inner pranic fire ceremony of Kriya Yoga, to roast and incinerate the accumulations of those worldly influences in our brain, in our memory, in our habits, in our reactions and impulses, in our nervous system. That's what Kriya Yoga does. Now, this perhaps may sound a little obscure to some, but those of you who reverently study our Guru's Kriya Yoga lessons, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Make use of the Kriya. That's how we can live in the material world without losing our divine connection. So again, let's never be pessimistic. Let's start this new year with confidence that with our combined efforts, plus the ever-present blessings of the Masters, in this new year, the vibratory power of the new dispensation of truth sent forth from India to unite the world and usher it into a higher age will become stronger, it will become more influential, more attractive, and more powerful on an individual as well as on a global level. Sometimes we hear laments from some people about what they see as the loss of the sacred in modern culture. But let me tell you, as this process goes on, as the work of the Masters goes on, we'll see that so-called trend towards secularization of our society, increasingly that will become revealed as actually being, in fact, a subconscious quest for a new spirituality, a universal spirituality, to replace the dogma-ridden forms of institutional religion or churchianity that so many millions have abandoned as being dissatisfying. Our Guru, our Paramahansa Yogananda, came to assure the world that any individual with an open heart and mind can establish and develop and draw from a very personal, a very sustaining and satisfying connection with God. And that's our goal in SRF and YSS. Our goal is to make sure that more and more people have a chance to create within themselves this perennial fountain of spiritual experience. And when we think about that goal as we begin the new year, we certainly have lots of reasons to be optimistic, to be enthusiastic, to be energized. Are you with me? Are you feeling the power that is coming with the beginning of this new year, this new century, in many respects, of the work of our great gurus in this world? What a blessing to be part of it. So speaking of some of the things that are inspiring and really make us enthusiastic, let me just share a few things. One is, recently, a few months ago, our SRF and YSS Online Meditation Center celebrated its 5-year anniversary. Maybe some of you will remember when we launched that back in 2019, right before the lockdown that was produced by the pandemic. So the Online Meditation Center, and then in India, the Online Dhyana Kendra, 5 years ago. And since that time, they've had more than 6 million visits on both of them, the Online Meditation Center and the Online Dhyana Kendra. More than 80 meditation services per week in many languages, some led by monastics, some led by lay devotees. And that goes on. You know, I think all of us come to see the more we meditate, the more we know how much group meditation can be such a powerful aid, a powerful accelerator in our spiritual practice. Paramahansaji said, group meditation is a castle that protects the new spiritual aspirants as well as veteran meditators. He said, meditating together increases the degree of self-realization of each member of the group by the law of invisible vibratory exchange of group magnetism. So group meditation is a castle for the seasoned veteran meditators as well as for the newcomers. I recently received word about a program that was conducted a few months ago by our SRF Young Adult Sangha. And they had completed their annual, what they call the Meditation Castle program. No doubt referring to, as Guruji said, this is group meditation is a castle that protects the new spiritual aspirants as well as the veteran meditators. So they completed their annual Meditation Castle program, and this was a 4-week program that brought together young adult devotees to meditate, average twice per week, and they formed what they called 8 castles or groups, each named for the quality that the group wanted to embody. And they had 8 castles called hope, joy, calmness, divine love, fearlessness, willpower, eternal bliss, and discipline. Well, I liked that the first one was hope. I think it gives, don't you think it gives all of us great hope that our young people are taking the initiative to organize their lives around meditation and seeking God? What a great sign for the future. Now, I'd like also to give you just a preview of a few things that we're planning for the coming year, just a glimpse ahead of not everything. We'll reserve a few surprises, maybe more than a few, but here are a few things that we can look forward to for the new year. Of course, first one, as I already mentioned, is the continuation and acceleration of the very important International Headquarters retrofit and rehabilitation project on Mount Washington, the one that I spoke of earlier. You know, this project, this was so dear to our revered Sri Daya Mata and also to our immediate past president, Sri Mrinalini Mata. Both of them gave hours and hours of thought and planning and guidance for when the time would come when this project could get started. And now it is taking form. It is taking off. We shared with you some of those plans a few months ago. And again, you can see the link below to read the, it's really quite inspiring to see what is going to materialize with the blessings of God and Guru. So that's one thing. Another thing to look forward to, and can you put on the screen these new Kirtan recordings? We've taken our Kirtans, which are such a popular and powerful and devotionally energizing program at our recent convocations, and compiled them into 3 collections. You can see there, the Ocean of Love, Listen to My Soul Song, and Come Out of the Silent Sky. So these will be released soon now on and available on all of the online outlets, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and so on. Okay, go to the next one. I'll show you another little surprise here. The Spiritual Art of Friendship. This is a new artistically designed book of our Guru's just timeless and classic essay on spiritual friendship. He wrote this way back in the late 1920s, early 1930s, and we've taken it and put it into this small book that can be a source of inspiration, a wonderful companion to realign our lives, realign our attitudes, our behavior into that higher expression that gives such joy and such fulfillment in all our relationships. And what a timely how to live program or wisdom for what our world is going through. How much the world could become just like heaven on earth if people would only take these principles to heart. So you can look forward to that as well. And the third thing I wanted to show you was, again, put it on the screen there. Yeah, this is the biggest of them all. Solving the Mystery of Life. This is volume 4 of Paramahansa Yogananda's collected talks and essays. It's continues the series, put the next picture on there, continues the series of the other 3 volumes, Man's Eternal Quest, Divine Romance, Journey to Self-Realization, and now Solving the Mystery of Life. So these, I hesitated, should I really show these in advance? But I wanted just to give you a glimpse of some of the things we have to look forward to in the year ahead. So these are not ready right now, but they will be, and we'll be sure to let everybody know when they're available. But I wanted to give this glimpse because just to show these various expressions of Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings. Why? Again, to come back to this, what is really a theme for our work these last few years, and that is that our Guru repeatedly emphasized that the teachings he brought are meant to contribute powerfully to humanity's transition into a higher age of civilization. And my dear ones, my friends, brothers and sisters, that goal, that impetus, that's what is behind all the projects and initiatives that we have started these last few years and that we're planning for the years ahead. In that spirit, and really to crystallize how timely, how universal, and how wonderfully energizing and uplifting these teachings are at this point in the history of the world. I want to read to you just a little bit from the introduction to that book, to the Solving the Mystery of Life. This is a little long, but just bear with me. Just close your eyes and listen, and feel how blessed we are to be the recipients of what our Guru has brought. So this is from the introduction to Solving the Mystery of Life. The introduction written by SRF. Today the world is in a pivotal place. People are faced with countless outer challenges related to the rapidly proliferating change and complexity in the fabric of daily life. There's also a rise in the inner challenges related to the loneliness, mental illness, even family instability. Many are seeking new ways to amplify healing and find direction through meditation, through yoga, through positive psychology for personal growth, through spirituality that unites rather than divides, and through a more purposeful life of compassion and empathy and service to causes that contribute to a better world. In countless awakening souls, there's a growing recognition of the need for a more balanced way of living, both individually and as a world civilization. The increasing world interdependencies are revealing the critical need to learn to live as one global family. Recently, there's been a tremendous growth in the number of people drawn to the Kriya Yoga teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda from all parts of the world, of all ages, religious affiliations, and cultural backgrounds. This is one sign of the authentic spiritual awakening taking place today around the globe, an awakening that is crucially vital for our world so often in a state of struggle, turmoil, and uncertainty. All around us, in every department of life, we see how powerfully the non-sectarian How to Live teachings brought by Paramahansaji are resonating with the spiritual needs of the 21st century global family. My dear ones, to do all that we can to meet those needs is a sacred responsibility. That's our sacred responsibility. And as our Guru foresaw, SRF and YSS, as a worldwide spiritual community, are poised to play a valuable role in advancing humanity toward a higher civilization, not only today, but in the decades to come. Now, there have been quite a few new initiatives that have been launched in the last few years to advance that visionary plan for the SRF and YSS work set forth by our Guru. I think most of you are aware of them. Most of you are beneficiaries of them. I know that from all of the beautiful letters and expressions of gratitude that come my way. So I won't bog things down with a list of them here. But the point I want to make is that even with the wonderful things that we have seen materialize over the last few years, there's so much more to do. There's so much more we can do to better serve not only devotees of SRF and YSS, current and future, but also seekers in the world at large, to serve them with the tools, with the personal support that they need to advance toward self-realization. Now, I want to take just a few minutes to speak about one other aspect of this. You know, earlier in the talk, I mentioned how grateful I was for the inspiring and the loving and heartfelt messages that so many of you sent this past Christmas. And now I also want to thank you for another kind of message, a message that was deeply meaningful and deeply touching, not only to me, but to all of us who serve at the Mother Center. Let me explain. And this, let me just say, this pertains mainly to our SRF members, but perhaps all of you YSS members who are attending today and joining us in this satsang, perhaps you'll be interested to hear about it. But what I'm referring to is that in August of this year, we sent out an electronic survey to all the SRF members on our mailing list. It was to invite your input, your observations, to answer some questions and take a poll about the projects and initiatives that we've been contemplating for the next several years. We wanted to hear from you about the plans we are putting in motion to move forward even more in this tremendously exciting and expansive phase of SRF's growth. And basically, what we were expressing was that many of these new programs and these ways of reaching out and serving all of you that have been inaugurated over the past few years, many of these now are going to need a long-term sustainable source of staffing and funding in order to be continued and to make them enduring and permanent. So we sent out this electronic survey to get your input. And the messages that came back from literally thousands of you, it was tremendous. It was so deeply touching to see and to read and to feel. The overwhelming consensus was how deeply so many of you feel the value of these programs, expressing that they're both urgent and important, and also expressing your willingness to do whatever you're able to do to help them continue and to provide the means that will enable us to go on expanding. In other words, let me put it this way, these different things that we have inaugurated over the last few years, the online meditation center, the streaming and online convocations and inspirational services, and all of these different things in which we have tried to make the best use of current technology to do more, to do better, to serve each of you, to increase that personal sense of support that you feel from Guruji's organization in practicing these teachings. So all of those things that we've introduced, more or less, though, that was been proof of concept, you might say. So now we know we can do it, and now we know that they help you. And so now we have to put into place the resources where they can become permanently sustainable. I don't often talk this way to you, but again, we are on the cusp of something truly momentous. And the support of all of you in fulfilling the bold vision that our Guru put for his work around the world, it will require the help and support of all of us. So we did that survey, asking for your input, for your insights and observations. And sometime in the next week or so, we'll be sending out an update, a summary of the responses to that survey. But I just wanted to acknowledge it now. I wanted to take this opportunity to express in person my own thanks, my own profound gratitude to all of you who, again, so unequivocally expressed that support, that enthusiasm, yes, that loyalty, that devotion, that dedication to helping us achieve Paramahansa Yogananda's vision for his worldwide spiritual work and for the benefit of our awakening global civilization. With your help, it will be transformational. I believe that. I see the seeds sprouting, and we all feel, as I mentioned, we feel that gentle zephyr of the work gradually picking up power, picking up strength, becoming more and more into that powerful wind that will bring the consciousness of spirit, the consciousness of the divine presence into this material world. How deeply the world is in need of it. How deeply the world needs universal, not divisive, not sectarian, but universal and uplifting teachings. And most of all, what our Guru brought in that science of Kriya Yoga, the practical, spiritual techniques. The techniques of meditation that bring joy and peace and a real awakened consciousness. So, my dear friends, I wanted to just take this opportunity to tell you how deeply grateful I am for the many ways that each and every one of you contributes to SRF, and know that it can be in many ways. There are many ways that we offer the help and support to our Guru's work through prayers. It can be through positive thoughts and goodwill, through volunteering, through material offerings, and very powerfully through your own spiritual development. All of these things together create the means, create the vibration and the resources through which the work of our Guru and Param Gurus will continue and expand and grow and bless this world. So we're designing a program to meet the annual operating needs and also to fund the priorities for growth and expansion, including, of course, the international headquarters retrofit and rehabilitation project. This is going to go on over the next few years. There'll be several phases. First, we'll focus on having individual conversations with our members and friends, and as we go forward, there'll be many other ways to be involved, to help and to contribute to the evolving and unfolding vision for the next phase of Paramahansa Yogananda's work. And we'll all work together in new and creative ways. That I have no doubt. So watch your email. There'll be an update soon about this new phase of our organizational growth. And most of all, thank you. Thank you for your enthusiasm, for your prayers, for the way that you live your lives and do all you can with such sincerity to become living examples of these blessed teachings, to become living links with Christ, Krishna, and the Masters, and for your unwavering support. Well, my dears, I think we've covered just about enough for this one session. I want to have a little meditation with you before we close, but let me also just end by saying that how much I'm looking forward to, in just a few weeks from now, I'll be leaving the Mother Center and traveling to first Australia, then to India, and then Nepal, and then later in the year to Brazil and Argentina. So I have a lot to look forward to, and to meet many of you in person for the first time, and to bring to you and to share with you and to meditate with you in the consciousness of that truly divine bond of friendship that we share in God and Guru. So let's conclude our gathering tonight by, well, first let me just say, I want to remind you, remember at Convocation in the closing talk that I gave there, I said that, we may feel leaving Convocation, we may feel like the disciples of Christ that were sent out as sheep among wolves. Well, we may feel that looking ahead to this new year. But just remember, the sheep have nothing to fear when they have a good shepherd. And we have the best. We have the shepherd who can give us the comfort, the protection, if we keep in tune and know that that good shepherd of our souls is looking out for us. We can say, as that beautiful 23rd Psalm, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So let us do what we can through the practice of Kriya Yoga, through the practice of meditation, to awaken that staff of protection, of comfort, of divine assurance and steadfastness, which we perceive in the spine as we awaken the spinal centers through Kriya Yoga meditation. So now let's have a moment or two of meditation. If you know the technique, practice Kriya Yoga several times. If you don't, then just inhale deeply, slowly. Hold the breath as light at the Christ Consciousness Kutastha Chaitanya Center, the point between the eyebrows. Hold the breath as light, bathing the brain. And then exhale slowly, exhaling all fears, all worries, bad habits, bad karma, into that fiery light at the Christ Kutastha Center. Practice that several times. Once again, inhale slowly and deeply. Hold the breath as light at the spiritual eye, the Christ center, bathing the brain, soothing the nerves, and then holding that light, exhale the breath, and exhale all fears, all worries, all bad habits that we want to get rid of, all the bad karma, the baggage that we want to leave behind in the old year. Exhale all of them with the breath into that sacred fire at the Christ Center, at the Kutastha Center. Inhale, hold the breath. Exhale, and be free. Inhale, hold the light at the Christ Center. Bathe the brain in that light. Exhale all psychological and spiritual baggage into that fiery light. Inhale, hold in the light. Exhale, and be free. Now visualize the spine as that divinely awakened fortress of the 7 citadels of light and spiritual consciousness. The spinal center starting at the base of the spine and going up to the brain. Go up and down the spine, touching those sacred centers with Om. Start at the base of the spine. Om at the 4-petaled center. Om at the 6-petaled center. Om at the 10-petal center. Om at the 12-petal center. Om at the 16-petal center. Om at the 2-petal center in the medulla, blazing its mighty 2-branched rays into the point between the eyebrows, opening the spiritual eye wide so that that starry silvery light of the 1,000-petaled lotus in the brain flows over our brain and our heart and our whole being. Now back down the spine, Om at each of the centers. Om at the medulla, Om at the throat center, Om at the heart center. Om at the navel center. Om at the sacral center. Om at the coccyx center. And now back up again. Om at the 4-petaled coccyx center. Om at the 6-petaled center. Om at the 10-petal center. Om at the 12-petaled heart center. Om at the 16-petaled throat center. Om at the 2-petaled center in the medulla. See those 2 petals blazing their 2-branched mighty rays into the spiritual eye, opening it wide and letting that divine silvery white radiance to flow through that portal, to bathe the brain, to bathe the heart, to bathe our bodies, minds, and souls. And go on your own, up and down, a few more times, up the spine at each center, then down the spine at each center. Finish with the awareness of Om, chant the Om at the Christ center, at the spiritual eye. Feel that your chant, feel that your devotion is opening that portal to the eternal light of spirit. It pours down from cosmic consciousness into your brain, into your heart, into your whole being. Feel, I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I am living in that light. The divine spirit fills me within and without. I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I am living in that light. The divine spirit fills me within and without. I am living in that light. I am living in that light. I am living in that light. And now, my dear ones, to end this joyous time together, let us take that light and as a united worldwide Sangam spiritual family, divine fellowship of souls, let us perform our Guru's technique of sending healing and spiritual consciousness and spiritual vibrations of Om, of light, of love, of harmony to the whole world. Visualize the world surrounded in that divine light. Visualize that light saturating and blessing and healing and harmonizing every soul on this planet, bringing a greater peace, a greater understanding, a greater spiritual consciousness. And then, as Guruji taught, let's rub the hands together, feel that we are collecting that light, that vibration of Om, and then we'll send it out to the whole world at need. Om. And rotate the hands around each other again, feeling that vibratory light, that vibratory power of Om collecting in the hands. And then send it out to the whole world. Om. One more time, rub the hands together. Feel that great healing power flowing through each one of us and uniting into a mighty wave of light and love and spiritual blessing. Om. For each one of you, my dear brothers and sisters on this path, wherever you are around the world, receive my prayers, my support, my friendship, and know that just as we have done now together, performing that blessed prayer, service, and healing technique, we here at Mother Center and at all the ashrams do this daily for all of you. And we know that you are also doing it, creating a vast aura, a vast shield of divine vibrations around the world. Keep on, my dear ones. The world needs souls like each of you. Our Guru is counting on each of you. The great ones are counting on each of you. And it's a joyous responsibility, isn't it? What better way to live our lives than to take to heart the teachings and the techniques and the example of our blessed Guru and bring that and manifest that and exemplify that in our own small way in our individual lives. That's what I pray for each one of you in this coming year. Let's just have a moment of silence and prayer together, and then we'll close. Let's pray the universal prayer that there is no prayer that could be more timely or more powerful to begin the new year as the spiritual family of Paramahansa Yogananda. Let us pray, Heavenly Father, Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswar, and you, our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we bow to you all. Beloved God, in this new year, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken that love in all hearts. Om. Peace. Amen. May God and Gurus deeply bless you every day of the new year. May you have the most blessed, the most spiritually fulfilling and productive year of your lives. God bless you. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru.